You're listening to WRPI Troy. Stay tuned. We have Veronica Torres with us, and she'll be channeling Elohim, and I'll be having a conversation with her channeled entity Elohim in this next hour. So I think you'd want to be around for that. Thank you.
That I am, that I am, that I am. I am that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am blissful. I am beautiful am I, bountiful am I, blissful am I, Waheguru. Beautiful am I, bountiful am I, blissful am I, Waheguru, 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 Waheguru. Beautiful am I, bountiful am I, blissful am I.
Did you like that? That was Shant Deep, SHANTDEEP. Ohm the Water is the name of the CD. And her she's from Canada. Her website is www.shantdeep.ca. And beautiful am I. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for tuning in today to In the Spirit on WRPI Troy. Very happy to be here with you. And as I've mentioned, we have a full day of guests. Try to get the music in the best we can. And so I want to introduce to you our next guest in this hour. Her name is Veronica Torres. And I first learned about Veronica when I was sent her a book called Discovering You, Elohim, channeled by Veronica Torres. And so we're going to have a little conversation. And here's a little question for you. Are you drained from doing too much? Do you feel trapped and confused by your life? Are you wondering how you can take care of yourself and meet your responsibilities? Discovering You will help you balance your life until you can live more fully. And the information in the book, while simple in its wisdom, had a profound effect on me. This is a person by the name of Kay, on me claiming my birthright as the divine co-creator of my wildest dreams. Veronica's career history is interesting and varied, with work including talk radio host, rock and roll memorabilia store owner, network director of a holistic practitioners group, producer of well-being expos, and jewelry designer. And we're very happy to have her back here on the program. And so let's say hi.
Hello.
Hey, Veronica, you're here. Thank you for being back.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our previous conversation and got tons of great feedback about it, so I'm happy that we are back together again.
Okay, I like that. Tell us about your work. Do you work with people like clients with the and tell us a little bit about your channeling work?
Sure.
Am I saying Elohim?
We say Elohim.
Elohim.
Elohim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elohim.
Elohim.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got it.
You were really close though, because the number of permutations of that word that I've heard over the years is a very large number. I'm not sure you could quantify it.
Well, I'm gonna stick with the right one, and Elohim is good for me. And
Yeah.
Thank you. Tell us about Elohim. Why don't we go right there?
Yeah.
Who is Elohim? How did you contact Elohim? Did Elohim contact you? How did that relationship begin?
Sure. So Elohim is a non-physical, meaning it's a soul that I am the human representative of. So I'm not only the channel of this energy, I'm also part of that energy, which
Okay.
I didn't know for a long time. I worked with them for a long time before we started discussing this aspect of our connection. So that was kind of an interesting thing along the way that I learned. And Elohim's role in this world, their offering, is to facilitate us actually living the full potential of humanity. And I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, but Elohim's the exact opposite of woo-woo. They're very practical, down-to-earth. All of their advice is super step-by-step and extremely applicable to whatever's going on. So they don't get woo-woo. They kind of have a woo-woo vision, but they don't have a woo-woo action on the project. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of woo-woo here on In the Spirit. Believe me, it's so natural that woo-woo is we're past woo-woo. You know what I mean?
You're way woo-woo. Is this what it is? Way woo-woo.
We're so woo-woo. We're so woo-woo. We're not even woo-woo. That's the best way to explain it. You know, it's sort of like maybe in my life too. I think I've always gravitated toward the unusual. In fact, I did some channeling work myself. I didn't do it before, you know, and I just didn't. I would just ask this being within me, and it would write through me, talk through me, and it went through a period of time, and then I dropped it entirely. But I think it you know, so I don't even. So that was pretty woo woo, you know, and at the time, and you know, it was good because we are creative beings, and we're, you know, our true natures. We're just barely scratching the surface, you know.
Yeah.
And discovering who we truly are. You know what I mean?
Sure. And for
seems
me,
like to me,
woo woo isn't a derogatory term as much as it describes a way of being in the world that a lot of times doesn't require a lot of accountability. You know, the other day I was doing a talk and someone said to Elohim, you know, what is the career that I am meant to follow in this world? What is the career I'm meant to be here to do? And Elohim's like, we could just make something up right now, and you wouldn't know we were making it up, and you might take it on our authority. But we'd rather teach you to find that wisdom, that clarity within you, than just take our word for it. That's what I mean by they're not woo-woo. They're like, okay, we could just speculate, and you might assume that we're right because you're confused.
Right.
They don't want that role in our lives. They want to keep empowering us, bringing us back to what's in our lap, and then facilitating us using what's in our lap, our relationships to people, places, and things, to transform how we navigate the world from a fear, survival-based position into a choosing, consciousness-based position.
Exactly. You know, I mentioned Timothy Wiley, who's going to be a guest later on in the show. Well, did I mention it to you? No, I mentioned it
I didn't hear you say that.
No.
Maybe I was on hold.
No. It was my previous guest.
Oh. Time streams. They're jumping around.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I did mention that these three, the survival aspects of the planet, the three lower chakras, that this planet used to be so almost 100% on that level, and that we're actually moving. There's more and more people that are on this planet today that have moved, that are not totally operating on those levels anymore, like on the heart chakra and higher, you know?
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about that is Elohim was just talking about that yesterday, in fact, this idea that all of our previous incarnations were very, very survival-based, as in you farm, you hunt, you gather, or you die. Now, today, I can walk down to the grocery store and charge 6 months worth of food on a credit card and not even give them a dime. Come home and eat that food and never even make a payment on that credit card for 6 months.
Right.
And I stay alive. This is a remarkable, I mean, that's not how, I run my financial life, but it's the fact that we have that kind of freedom, that
Right.
women can live alone and not have children unless they want to, or have a child without getting married, that men don't necessarily have to support a big family as part of their normal way of being.
And we've become used to this
Yes,
way of
but
living.
we do, yeah, and we don't even notice that this is the first lifetime that's ever been possible.
Yeah, we take
The
it for
first
granted.
ever lifetime.
We
So
take
we're
it for
in this
granted.
We're in this remarkable evolutionary moment that, because it's happening to us, we don't notice. But if we compare just even a few decades ago, the difference. I mean, we have the internet now. We didn't have the internet when I was younger. I mean, I'm old enough, 47, so I'm old
Yeah.
enough where I remember when I got the internet and went,
Yeah.
wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a
Yeah.
minute. So that moment,
Yeah.
even if that was the only thing that changed,
Right.
even if we still lived lots of nuclear families, women didn't have a lot of control over their reproduction, we couldn't go and have our own jobs, any of that stuff. If we didn't have all the other stuff, gay rights and all this wonderful social stuff that's going on right now, even if none of that was happening, we have the internet. I can talk to you across the planet, and you can be friends with me, and we can have a real relationship even if you live in another country because of the internet.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
can't forget that that's happening to us just because it's always happening every day. And I think,
Yeah.
When history tells the tale, you and I will be in the group of people that, were like before the internet and after the internet. We lived through this.
And so what's going on is that things are changing on the planet, and that I believe that so the people that cannot move away from the survival aspects are going to have more difficulty in the coming years ahead, because
Yeah.
we're moving in a higher vibration.
Yeah, and I think that what also happens is that you get that kind of 100 monkey thing, where all of a sudden so many people think differently about a subject that the people who are holdouts on that subject soften their stance just because the energy around them. I think that's the marijuana legalization,
Yeah.
the gay marriage thing. It's
Yeah.
like, no, all right.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, all the same people were pretty much weighing in,
Yeah.
but it was no. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
So I think that's another interesting aspect of vibrational change, energetic change, that softens these hard stances that have been taken out of habit, not out of actual conscious thought, but a stance taken out of habit, gets softened by energetic alternatives being surrounding. And that's what Elohim's work's completely about, is changing habitual responses into conscious responses and then emanating that out to the world just by walking around and breathing. And that emanation starts to create alternatives for other people to match.
Yes. You have in your book, there are a number of books that were published.
About 20.
So I'm holding one in my hand, Discovering You, but there's many others.
Yeah.
It's all written by Elohim, right?
That book that you have is actually the transcript of a private session with Elohim.
Yes.
I did that session a while back, and at the time, both Kay and myself looked at each other and said, this is good for so many people. Immediately, she said, make it a book. I mean, she had no hesitation whatsoever. I did change her name, but she had no hesitation whatsoever because she could feel, and I could feel, how much common ground there was in that private session for most people out there, that are on the spiritual journey.
I want to read something from it.
Okay.
Under the S's, I came across soul perspective, spirituality, spiritual growth. So I'm going to read soul's perspective, the wisdom of your soul incorporated into your experience of being human. It's the insight available to you when you live from the consciousness-based operating system. From the soul's perspective, there is no judgment, no duality, no fear about life in the physical form. Everything is fascinating. Your soul knows this is all just a journey in learning. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. It's a journey in learning, exploration, experience. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And then spirituality, the topic of spirituality, functioning from more than just the survival instinct. Now, that's just what we were talking about. Awareness of and openness to experiences outside of those that are provable or repeatable. Knowledge that you are more than just this human form. Spiritual growth, another term for transformational and transformation and learning, indicating that your learning is not based on your mind or habits, but on consciousness-based transformation. I'm going to go down to suffering now because I think this is a good one. They're all good. Suffering occurs when you experience the world from a victim mentality, not believing you are a creator, instead living in limitation and habit. You've all suffered, and you all have the choice in the suffering to experience it as learning. No matter what is occurring, there's always that choice. Change happens. What is. Let's look at it from a new perspective. Do you want to climb out of this new experience with something learned from it? Or do you want to wallow in what happened to you in victimhood? You know, this is exactly what I was thinking about when I was driving my car to the radio station this morning.
Yay!
Yeah, I saw suffering as a choice. And because I could feel that, and victimhood as a choice. That's something, especially victimhood, that somebody did something to you, or you have to be fear about somebody or some situation that could have dire consequences to you. Yeah, and that you could be hurt by. And then I really got what I was really getting, along with my spiritual growth, which is really into that there are no accidents, and you're drawing those experiences that you need, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, and that every one of your experiences is helping you grow. It depends on how you work with it. This is sort of what I'm going. This is what I'm going through right now. You know.
Sure.
And not just having a learning experience in words, but really knowing it as real life experience.
All right. I'm going to tell you something I think you'll like.
Yeah.
So Elohim has this notion, and it's kind of an advanced spiritual idea, but I feel like your audience is into this, so we'll go this place. It's called "This is my first choice," or "This was my plan all along." And the idea is this: everything happening into your life right now, every single thing you see and touch and taste and smell, is actually your soul, the infinite and immortal part of you, expressing physically, just like you're expressing physically, to show you more of it. So you get to know your soul by touching the wall. You get to know your soul by sitting in a chair. You get to know your soul by gazing out at a beautiful tree. But you also get to know your soul by sitting on the toilet, right? All of these things are your soul. And so anything that's occurring is actually the dance of the soul, the dance of you, the personality, and the soul, expressing in just the perfect bit of sandpaper to rub your edges in just the perfect way for you to have the perfect growth you're ready for.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, my feeling is that no matter what it is you're doing, it's not. It is perfect in whatever it is, and it's sometimes
hard for people because they're like, okay, well, this horrible thing happened. It's hard for me to see as perfect. Granted, I get it. Crazy stuff has happened to me. Difficult things have happened. And so sometimes this notion's a little too much to swallow. I get it. But 99% of the time, you can live your life this way, and it will revolutionize your experience.
I noticed that when I'm more in my experience, I'm really involved in it and acknowledge it and working with it, that it gives me a feeling of empowerment. It
does. And if you look at the world as it's offering you something perfect, even when it seems, not so great. Something happens with the car and you think, gosh, this car, it keeps breaking down, and I just hate the fact that my car breaks down all the time. That's easy to feel like a victim. It's easy to feel like you don't have the right amount of money to get that fixed or change your car. It's easy just to let that make your day horrible. And pretty much most of humanity will agree with you. And that's where you have to stand and say, wait a minute, what if I looked at this as this is an opportunity? What if I just said, okay, I know what it feels like to be a victim of the car. So I don't need to do that again. That box is checked. I've had that experience.
Yes.
What if instead I say, all right, the car's broken. What am I actually feeling? Past the, oh, I hate this car or I'm a victim. Past that. You already know that feeling. There's something more there. There's something more there. And sometimes the feeling is, well, I didn't have to go to work today because the car broke down, and I'm actually feeling okay about that fact. Whoa. In there was something actually I enjoyed about the fact the car broke down. I got to go in late to work. I missed that meeting that I didn't want to go to. Or maybe it's, I really am ready to have a partner in my life because I want shared experiences. I don't want to go through all these things alone anymore. Wow, I didn't realize I was really wanting a partner.
So
this makes it really clear.
No matter what it is, it can lead on to something that unplanned or that is for your best interest. And the universe, I like to say the universe, is kind of pushing you or guiding you or creating circumstances so that you can discover what it is that you really need. And then we have our. We have it all planned out. We're going to do this and this and this. We don't give too much room for something spontaneous or out of the box to happen, Yeah,
I like to think of it as, and I've seen this happen with so many people, and myself included, where the first look at a situation that's difficult gives me the victim perspective. But when I really hold in it and I say, what more is here? There are so many other layers to any experience than just the one that I call loudest. If you go to listen to music and the drummer's super loud and drowns everybody else out, that's all you hear is the drums. Not exactly music. If in yourself you're always looking and seeing the loud victim message in everything, you're not seeing the rest of the music that's there.
Right.
But it's there. But you have to be the one that says, I have already heard the victim message here. I require this situation to reveal something more. And I have never been in a situation that didn't reveal something more when I took that stance with it.
Beautiful.
And sometimes what it reveals is utterly earth-shatteringly beautiful. Underneath something that you would originally think, this is a sucky thing or a horrible thing. It's very common. There's a county near me called Marin County. It's just north of San Francisco. And for a while there, they had tons and tons and tons of breast cancer, and it was a big thing like, oh, God, something's in the water. There was all this speculation. But they kept interviewing these women, and it's a very sort of go, upper income area. And they kept interviewing these women, and so many of them were like, breast cancer saved my life. I had to slow down. I had to pay attention to my family in a different way. I had to admit that I'm not Superwoman. I had to do all this change in my life because I was forced to by getting sick. And I know not everybody has that experience, and it's just an example of something that's seemingly utterly horrific, and on the other side, some women are saying, that was a gift. That was an utter gift for me and my family to get ill. So that would be the thing I would just suggest to the listeners is look, the next time you feel like a victim about whatever, just say, all right, I already know, victim is a choice here. What else is a choice in interacting with this moment I'm having? What else is here for me? There's got to be something else. Even if it's, wow, as I'm standing here, realizing I have a choice, I feel a sense of freedom that I didn't know I had. Even if I don't know what else the choice is, I feel freedom in the fact that I have a choice.
Yeah, that's this what I think life on this planet is about. Making a choice and experiencing the consequences of each choice.
Yeah, Elohim says that's actually how we create our reality. That's a big woo-woo buzz thing. Create your reality, create your reality. But nobody really ever teaches you that. They just say, you're a creator, go create. And then people have things like breast cancer, and they think they're a horrible creator, and they feel mad, and they're mean to themselves. The way we create our reality according to Elohim, which I have seen be utterly true, is by our choices in every moment. If I choose to see the glass half full, I have one kind of experience. If I choose to see the glass half empty, I have another kind of experience, and that happens every single moment of every single day.
And I also believe that we draw unto us exactly what we are the way we're thinking about the way things are or should be, instead of being better to say better to keep open-minded and say, please, I want to have the experience I need for my soul growth, instead of dictating. This is, even though we're making choices, there's a paradox here, I think, because there's a part that we need to surrender, where it's not all about us. This is me to I don't have all the answers. I don't really know. I need to open up to the truth. Please show me what the truth is. So I think there's a partnership going on here.
Yeah.
You know,
one of Elohim's foundational ideas was when they said, look, you don't know much. And we have a lot of big brains in our community, and they all freaked out and said, I know a ton. It's like, look, when you think about the entirety of the scope of knowing, what you know, even if it's a lot to you, is very little in the big scope. So why don't we relax into I don't know anything for a minute?
Yeah.
And just see where that takes you. When you don't feel like you have to know, you slow down the hamster wheel mind. And when you do that, here's what you were saying ties in. You slow down the hamster wheel mind, and then you make room for insight, for ahas, for the wonder of, oh, I never thought about it that way to happen. When you feel like you have to know everything and control your experience through the hamster wheel mind, you diminish actually what you have access to.
Right. I know that I really want to. I want to grow. And I don't necessarily want things to always remain the same. And whatever it takes for me to move to where I'm supposed to be to become the fullest of that I can be. But in that, a lot of times what happens is that there's a certain breakdown, because some of that stuff that I've been carrying around, has to be let go of.
Yeah.
In order to let something, the glass half empty has to be half empty. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I love it. I've never heard anyone say that before, but I totally get it 1,000% what you just said.
Forget
and
about
the way Elohim says this is to use the current version of you. So what happens, I'm sure, with you and your friends and my friends and me, is we take classes and we listen to talks and we read books, and then something happens and we let the 20-year-old version of ourselves respond to it.
Mm.
It's like, okay, don't do that. Use the current version of yourself. But in order to access the current version of yourself, you have to know, what your truth is in this moment. Not in the moment 20 years ago, but in the moment now,
right,
which can be vastly different than what you would habitually believe it to be.
When you're coming from victim consciousness, you're at the effect of. And when you're coming from empowerment, you're acknowledging that that you may be at the effect of still, but you're taking responsibility for it and not claiming being a victim of it, and then working with it, whatever it is, and seeing everything as a gift. So I choose, or I have chosen, and it hasn't always been the case, obviously. I say obviously because I'm a human being living on this planet, and if I had everything all together, I wouldn't be in a human body. But here we are, and I say up to this point, I can say that this is the best version of me I've seen so far.
Awesome. I love that.
And I really believe that there's going to be a better version to come.
I think it happens in every moment.
I think it's
in
happening.
Every moment.
I do. And that's why I'm optimistic. That's why I feel good. And no matter what the catastrophic predictions on this planet and the way the people are going about their business, I feel good about myself because I like the way I'm moving through life right now.
Yay.
Well, and why is that? Is because I have been diligently working on soul growth for a long time. I've had to work through a lot of stuff. And now I've kind of broken through something here. I think maybe this would be a good point to talk with Elohim. What do you think?
Why not? Let me just.
We got
I'm
to
just
we got to
gonna
do a
drink
short
bit,
stay.
just a quick break of water. Oh, are you going to take a little music or something, then I can take some water?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We'll be back in about 2-3 minutes, okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
He's lazy. She's stupid. He's a racist. That one's greedy. And there's a terrorist.
If you look at people and all you see are labels, everyone loses.
Labels hurt all of us, and they're wrong.
Every one of us is unique, a one-of-a-kind original.
Every one of us is a one-of-a-kind original.
Every one of us is a one-of-a-kind original. Our diversity is our strength. Instead of stereotyping, we can all learn from each other.
Don't let prejudice shape your view. Take the time to get to know people and see for yourself who they really are.
We are all one of a kind.
Stereotyping is wrong, and it hurts all of us. Stop stereotyping.
A message from your American Muslim neighbors and the Islamic Media Foundation.
Satanam, Satanam, Satanam. What you vibrate, you will become. Close your eyes, meditate on the run. Satanam, Satanam. You can.
We're going to play more of this album at some point. Yeah, I really like it. It's called Sukha, Sukha, and the title is Rise. And so at some point we'll play a few selections from it. By speaking about Satnam, the Satnam Fest is in the Berkshires this year. You may be interested in knowing, and so I'm putting that out. And we have Veronica Torres with us, and we're talking about Elohim, and we're going to do a little channeling with Elohim right now. Hello, was that enough time?
Yes, we are here. Hello.
Oh, who is this, Elohim?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Elohim. This is Gary Goldberg on In the Spirit Radio here.
Hi, Gary. We've enjoyed listening in as you talk to Veronica, so thank you very much for inviting us on your program.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy you're with us, and yeah, I'm happy to meet you. Now, could you are you identity-wise? How do you describe yourself?
You know, it's always fascinating to us that humans like this. They like to know who, and we always want to talk about what.
Okay.
And talk about what we have to offer.
Yeah, what do you have to offer then?
Rather than find boxes that we fit in that make sense to some people that make no sense to others. What do we have to offer? Well, what we have to offer is an insight on your experiences that are outside of the survival-based operating system, that aren't based in fear. They're based in a completely different perspective that is facilitating, seeking, examining, looking at your potential and your opportunities for growth. Because we're coming not from a survival instinct like you guys are, we can offer something that you can't see sometimes, often. Or something that you hinted at but you didn't know how to grab a hold of, or didn't know how to apply. Yeah.
Well, I feel I have been stuck in a survival mode for a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm not completely free from it, mm-hmm. but I'm feeling I'm flexing a little muscle outside, and feel and being able to feel a strength, and that's not associated with the survival instincts.
Yes. And how do you describe it?
Well, it's light. It's light. It's not mental. You know, you're not. It's more like just a beingness,
Yeah.
a relaxation in the being, which I could sit in a chair like I did this morning, and I do mantra practice, right? So I chant my mantras. I chant and I sit and I just chant them. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not thinking of, I may be thinking about something, but I'm not attached to the thoughts. Or I'm trying. If I do start, I go right back into the mantra, and I find that I've been doing this for a while. It puts me into just a nice a calm place. But more than that, it's just not about peaceful place. I'm accessing something within myself that is a part of me that has been kind of buried for a long time. So it's like opening a door, opening a portal, coming alive into it, and seeing that my life is a lot wider and deeper than I formerly associated my life to be.
Yes, this is what we refer to as clarity.
Yeah.
So the sense here, or the important thing to notice, is that because you're operating from the centered version of you instead of the hamster wheel version of you, the hamster wheel version of you triggers the body. So the hamster wheel mind says, oh, I'm not really sure about this pain in my side. What do you think it could possibly be? And the body goes, oh, my God, do we have something wrong with the body? We should freak out a little bit. And the hamster wheel mind goes, oh, the body's freaking out. We better freak out. And the body says, oh, no, we're freaking out. We should freak out some more. And the next thing you know, that's all you have is freak out. That's how lots of people live,
hamster
right?
wheel, yeah.
But if you take the centered version of you, which it sounds like your mantra practice helps you access, that can connect with the body without sending the body danger messages. It sends the body discovery messages. It sends the body messages of fascination, exploration. So when the body and what we call the personality, we're calling you the personality, the body and the personality are interacting in a non-triggering dynamic, that makes tons of room for you to access what we call the awareness, which is the infinite and immortal part of you, the soul, if you like, higher self. So when the body, the personality, and the awareness are in a balance, that triangle, we call it the Trinity, when that is a balanced Trinity, that's when you start to really access the full potential of being on the planet. But if you slip into the hamster wheel, you completely cut off access to awareness and you trigger the body. That's why it's so messy when you're in the hamster wheel. That's why the hamster wheel doesn't work, is because it triggers the body and it fills up the space in the mind, which cuts off access to any new insights or ahas. The secret is, if you find yourself in the hamster wheel mind, to get out of it. We have tons of tools. We've got books. We've got the website. We've got YouTube. All of that's there. And so there's all kinds of foundational material to help you do this. And Veronica's got this Facebook group called Connect with Elohim. You go on there and you get help getting out of your hamster wheel mind so that you can do what's interesting to us to talk about, which is to get into the centered version of you, not trigger the body, and start accessing awareness, and then taking that balanced Trinity and walking that in the world and emanating that to your fellow travelers on the planet and seeing what that creates in your world. Because what we call it is dominoes standing up. You know, folks like to make these long chain of dominoes and knock one and they all fall down in a line. And that's great and fun. But what we love to see is the kind of disorder that most people experience in their life, ordering, standing up. So that messy dominoes that you have at the end, imagining that because of your disengaging the hamster wheel mind, connecting with the awareness, stop the trigger of the body, all those dominoes start to stand up and your world starts to order around you based on your centered, clear self walking in this world.
Very good. Very good. Now, humanity, what is the state of humanity on the planet right now?
It's very exciting. This is a good time. You guys think that it's a shitty time. Are we allowed to say shitty? Oh,
no.
Sorry. Okay, sorry, we apologize.
Okay.
You think this is a difficult time, and it's not. It's actually not. This is actually one of your easiest lifetimes you've ever had. However, because you have the internet, and you get to see all of the news for the whole planet whenever you want it, and you have Facebook, so you don't just see your friends' problems. You hear about their uncle's cousin's death or their uncle's sister's suicide, you find out all this news that you never used to hear about. So you think there's more problems now than there's ever been, and it's not true. There's actually less, far less. Are there still problems? Yes. Are there less problems? Yes. And it's an opportunity for spiritual aspirants, light workers you might call them, to emanate out, like you were talking about earlier. My life's actually good. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm going to notice the changes I've made.
Okay.
I'm going to notice the changes I've made. And that's what I'm walking in the world when I walk in the world. The fact that I know those changes have been made. Do I still have work to do? Of course I do. I'm not done with me. But
Right.
that doesn't mean I'm going to disregard what I have done.
Got it. So now we have let's talk about collective consciousness. Yeah, what is collective consciousness and how can we access it?
We would say you'd have to define it for us. That's not terminology we normally use.
Oh, okay. How do are we connected through our consciousness? And if we are, how can we facilitate? Like when people talk about one of the future things you can do is be able to communicate with each other over distances.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so here's the great thing. It's all of those, we call them superhero powers, all the telekinesis and telepathy and teleportation and tele. All of those are completely possible, but you have to be on the step you're on. And the step you're on is disengaging the hamster wheel mind, like we talked about earlier. Okay, so let's say you disengage the hamster wheel mind. It doesn't happen that often. You're not triggering your body. You're not walking around feeling like a victim. All these little steps that you and Veronica have covered, plus a whole bunch more, but, you get the gist. And all of a sudden you get to what we call level 7, and in level 7 you start exploring the fact that it really is all you. Every single thing you're experiencing is actually your soul expressing. Okay, great. Now you can start to see what potentials exist within that dynamic. Wow. Instead of it all being about survival, and it's all being about outcome, and it all being about the future, and all being about protect and defend and collect and store and hoard, it becomes about explore, fascination, dive into what it's like. So yes, it's completely possible to have telepathy. But what's in the way, we call it the static. What's generating static is habits. So that's why we work for years to help people break their habits.
Right.
It's difficulty with uncertainty, right? What's more uncertain than connecting with another person's thoughts remotely? That's a very uncertain experience. So you have to have a really healthy relationship to uncertainty. This is why we've done major talks on uncertainty that you can access on our website to help you be able to say uncertainty is a place of discovery, not a place of danger. Because the body's programmed, anything that's outside, unusual, confusing, I have to see that as danger. Your commercial during the break you had here on the show was all about diversity. Don't see diversity as danger. See diversity as an asset. Yes, diversity in all ways. New experiences, people who don't look like you, people who think differently than you. Everyone is very, very different. People tend to collect up in these little batches that are sort of similar in order to not have to face the uncertainty of meeting someone who's radically different than them. Well, hello. If you access another person's thoughts, the difference between you and them is going to be tremendous, even if it's someone you feel you know well, because every single individual is experiencing Earth in a completely unique fashion. And we've said before, if you got into someone else's head and looked out their eyes, you'd probably go insane because you wouldn't be able to handle the jolt in the change of your perceptions. So part of what we do is teach people to be really, really comfortable with the natural reality of uncertainty, so that they can reach into these unusual experiences without it having their survival instinct freak out.
You mentioned what you said about looking into somebody's eyes. I think to really look into somebody's eyes, you really need to you have to let go. I was sitting with a person recently, and we were just holding hands and looking into each other's eyes for a little while, and I could feel myself wanting to escape.
Yeah.
Because that felt like almost where do we go from what happens here? You know, almost like you know what it ticked off the part of me that wanted to hide.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hold the gaze for very long.
So isn't that fascinating? This is just gazing at someone. Can you imagine actually knowing their thoughts, feelings, history, emotions, experiences, sensations, dreams, and desires while having that gazing experience? You've got to have done a lot of work on yourself before that's a good idea to try that, because you'll run from it. You'll be triggered by it. And then you'll probably be mean to yourself because you didn't do good enough, which we never want you to be mean to yourself. So that's why we're doing all this work in all these different little areas so that we think of it as a jigsaw puzzle. And Veronica likes to build jigsaw puzzles, and what she oftentimes will do is she builds a little chunk that's maybe a balloon, and then a little chunk that's an animal, and a little chunk that's an ocean, and then those chunks get put inside the frame, and then the chunks get added up together, and eventually you can see the picture. We've been building chunks for 14 years. We've been building chunks now for 14 years. And each of those chunks is vital for each of you. But now we're putting those chunks together so we can see the picture. And one of the chunks is, hey, I want telepathy. I want telepathy, right? You just said collective consciousness, telepathy. I want telepathy. Okay. Then I have to be able to sit in myself, knowing myself well enough that when another person's thoughts don't agree with my perception of myself, I don't freak out. Okay, so we have to teach you how to be in what is true now. We have to teach you how to know your truth and be able to sit in it even when other people disagree with you. Because the idea of someone saying, I don't agree, and that triggering you, and the idea of feeling a full sensory experience of another person's disagreement, those are two radically different notions. And if you're triggered by someone saying, I don't agree, you're not ready to have telepathy with anyone because everyone disagrees with you on some and actually a lot of things.
Well, here's another thing. How about when we don't seek agreement, but we acknowledge each other in our diversity?
Now, that's beautiful, but how few people can actually pull that off? And when that diversity isn't just, I'm okay with you being gay, or I'm okay with you being straight, or I'm okay with you being a different skin color, how about when it's actually the way they feel in their body feels foreign to you? Because every single one of you experiences the physical form differently. So let's say we've seen your picture, so you're a middle-aged guy, right? And you're not super skinny, not super fat. You're sort of average shape, it seems like, from your picture, right?
Okay, I'll go for that. Okay,
you get, all of a sudden, you're in I always have a hard time, telepathy with let's pick something that makes sense, with a 90-year-old woman who's 4'9" and only speaks Italian.
Okay.
That, we're making it ridiculous because we need it to be more obvious. Even that, if you popped into a body that thinks in Italian, if the telepathy is Italian and you don't speak Italian, already there's a problem. But she's 4'9". You're used to experiencing the world from a different place, literally a different place, strata in the sky. So the world is going to look like you're looking at the bottom of the wall all the time. And you're going to be in a woman's body, which is going to feel completely different. So all of that is going to be such radical transformation. It's like this. People say, I want to learn to levitate. We're like, well, start on the bottom step. Because you don't want to start on the top step.
Right.
So telepathy, we don't know why we're having such a hard time with that word today. Telepathy, what we want to start with is like your commercial, diversity. When you're walking down the street and you see someone who looks different than you, be really honest with what that brings up in you. Because the survival instinct is built on the idea that you lived in tribal communities and any stranger could seriously be danger. Like, I'm coming at you with a bow and arrow. I'm coming at you with a knife. You don't know me, so I'm dangerous. So every person who's not, quote, in your tribe, however you're currently defining it, your body tells you is dangerous, whether they are or not. And it requires some serious evolution to change that habit. Okay, great. That's what you guys are doing now. It's amazing. It's utterly amazing you're doing this. And it's not easy, and you're still doing it across all these different borders and cultures, and what's going on with the migration or immigrants and the refugees and all this stuff that's happening. This is all exactly contrary to what the survival instinct tells you to do, and you're doing it, and that is fabulous. So that thing you asked us in the beginning of, like, how is it going for humanity? Oh, wow! It's amazing.
Right.
It's never been more amazing, even as it feels hard. It's that perfect piece of sandpaper like Veronica was talking about earlier.
Yeah. So let me see. One more thing I'd like to ask you, Elohim, is where are we going? Where is all this taking us? I mean, what is? I'm not saying to tell us the future, in total, but as a human race, what is it that we're moving toward? This is.
Yeah.
Let me put it more specifically. Each individual, tell me if has a soul and is going through soul growth, right? So that's
We say it that you're embodying your soul's perspective. So you have a soul that's big. It takes a little bitty bit of the soul to animate Gary. But every single time you choose away from the hamster wheel mind, you make more room for more of your soul to be part of this journey. So the more of your soul you stuff in to Gary, the more you have these outside of the norm experiences, all the tellas, the superhero powers. And you get to say that thing you said earlier, which is like, I like who I am more today than I've ever liked me before. And I have insights, and I have ideas, and I have experiences and expressions that are different than I used to have. More of your soul goes in because less hamster wheel taking up the space is a way to think about it. So as you ensoul the human form, you get to see more and more and more potentials of that human form. And when you have more people walking around in more of their potential, you have a society that's evolving. Your society is evolving. Not everybody in your society is evolving, but your society as a whole is definitely evolving.
Right. So, and we're talking about the United States, but there's the whole world, and every country in the world is on some kind of different path.
Yeah, it's amazing if you think about it. You don't have to go into past lives to see people who are having really, really, really intense survival-based.
There are very repressive countries where people don't have any personal freedom hardly at all. They're told exactly what to think, and if they're not thinking that way, they could be punished or killed. Yes,
and so that's happening right now, as well as what Veronica was talking about earlier, where there's so much freedom.
Yeah.
For people. You people are learning how to change genders. Let's just have a moment with that. Just have a moment.
Yeah.
With at this time right now, it is not outside of a pretty normal person's means to go and change their gender.
Right.
That's how amazing this society is right now, that much change is being offered.
Right.
So, yeah, there are cultures on your planet where, there are people who've never even seen a white person that live in the bush and have never seen white people. That's still happening. There are segments of your population that are so isolated that they've only ever seen the people they've known their entire life. Okay, cool. There's lots of ways to be human. But the people who are given the opportunity to have room in their life when they're not farming, hunting, or gathering, to pursue these spiritual ideals, they're offering an energetic leadership for that transformation. Now, so are the people that are in the bush. They're doing it their way as well. We're not trying to diminish anybody's version of it. Some people are really holding on to fear and habit and isolation and my way or no way and trying that out to see what that gives them. And some people are going, you know what? It's kind of weird for me that it's this way, that, now everybody lives in mixed communities and marries each other and people can, obviously be gay and people can not have babies and what's everyone doing, smoking pot, all that stuff. But they still say, but you know what? It doesn't hurt me. It's not my business. It's okay for them to experience it. That's the next step up, right? There's the, you will not do that because I don't do it. Then there's the, I don't get it,
Yeah.
but it's okay if you do it. Then there's the, I don't care if you're doing that.
Right.
I care more about who you are.
Yeah.
And then there's the, none of that matters.
So, yeah, this is very interesting. I need to start working to end this conversation.
Oh, that's right, time.
So, time, which I don't, that's probably not your makeup. So I would like to, do we have to switch back to Veronica? Does it take a
Yes,
minute? Does
we'll
it take
get
a
her.
minute? Does it take a
Yes.
minute to do that? Should I go to a
No,
piece
we
of
can
music?
do it fast. We can do it fast.
Okay.
So it was lovely meeting you and being with your community. Thank you for the invitation. Let us get Veronica for you real fast.
All right. Well, thank you, Elohim. And by the way, people can go to Elohim.com, ELOHEIM.com. And is that correct, Veronica?
Yeah,
Elohim.com?
you
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
And on Facebook, it's Connect with Elohim is our group, and
Yeah.
we'd love for folks. And if you go to Elohim.com, you get a free ebook, and it's
Okay.
awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Well, let's do this again sometime. And
I like hanging out with you, Gary.
Yeah.
You just let me know when it fits in your calendar.
I certainly will. If you'd like to stay on the line, I'll speak with you off air for a moment.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It was really great hanging out with all of y'all.
Veronica Torres, channeling Elohim. Thank you.